Wisconsin is the Highline Racing League's home tonight, but it won't just be one race. That's right, tonight the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series has itself a special event in mind. That is a double header. Welcome back live on FTN to coverage of the Highline Racing League Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series. Tonight we start at the Road America for a 30-minute Grand Prix and go from there oval racing in Wisconsin to the Milwaukee Mile. There's not going to be another night like this on the schedule, and we're excited to see what happens. We take two tracks, give them two races, and make it happen, all on the same date. A road course race most often means a Lucas Lodato victory, but it could go either way for either race. Welcome back live on FTN Broadcasting. I'll be your host for tonight's broadcast. I'm David Troitz, commentating and producing. Tonight is due to be a thriller in more ways than one. Great, of course, again, to come back to the road circuit, but also because we've got ourselves the Milwaukee Mile, a circuit that we haven't seen in many a season in the Highline Racing League. As it stands, Lucas Lodato is at the top of the board. He's got himself the provisional pole position, and it looks like he's got it by a comfortable margin right now. His fast lap, a 110.199 on the speed charts, quicker by just about 0.4 of a mile an hour, or overall about 0.5 of a second. That's going to be a big advantage, of course, over this long encompassing circuit. It comes in at 4 miles, 14 turns. It's a massive one, that is without doubt, and as a result, drivers are not going to be expected to be perfect tonight unless you're at the front of the field. It all just comes down to consistency. It's the first of two races. It's not a do-or-die circumstance if you're not good here, because we've got, of course, to go to West Allis, Wisconsin. That's where there's another shot on the table for drivers to find victory. So tonight will not end with one type of track. Road courses and ovals are on the menu. Lucas Lodato finds himself up on top by a convincing margin. There's Chad Winstead, a former road course winner. And you can see right now, the driver, the number 60, he's got himself in a comfortable position in the top 5. The 97 of Scott Wheeler Jr., for the time being, it looks like he is off the circuit. The only man on it is Winstead here. Scott Wheeler going P5, Zellner going 3rd, Ramirez 2nd, Lucas Lodato in 1st. A lot of those usual suspects right now as Chad Winstead tests the edges. For a very brief period, for a 1-year period in fact, the NASCAR Cup Series went to this very circuit, of course. That was the one and only race they had in the summer of 2021, and that was a thriller in Elkhart Lake. Ever since then, the NASCAR Cup Series has not gone back to Road America. It's a long and well-esteemed circuit, of course, in not only endurance racing such as IMSA. You see Indycar has its yearly Grand Prix. Formula-style racing used to come to this circuit as well. One of the very first tracks in the modern sim racing era, developed by the current iRacing team. Grand Prix Legends, 1997. It was a 60s-style rendition of this very track. Tyler Hampton now on the way. He's up to 6th place as it stands, leading the Hoosier Buckeye Racing duo as he goes on for his 3rd lap of the day. This one is going to be his in-lap as he makes it in to pit road, does so successfully. So the stock cars that you're looking at on your screen, they had their time in the sun at this very venue. The Gen 6 cars were the only Cup Series cars in the modern era to see this track. We did see Road America in the 1950s just once. However, it was more than a 6-decade gap between that first appearance to its most recent, at which point the 2021 Gen 6 cars took it out for a ride. So this is most accurate to when we last went to this circuit in real stock car racing with Wisconsin's final stand. There's Matthew Rodriguez. He scored 9th, but no one can hold a candle to the winningest man this season, Lucas Lodato. He's already a 3-time race winner, and the Swamp so far has gone for 5 victories. Lucas will qualify on the pole position, and he's very likely the success story of the night, at least for the road courses, if he keeps up his 3 consecutive road course wins over the course of the last 3 seasons. This would be his 4th. Lucas Lodato's on the inside, and he will be the control car. Lodato's low. Roberto Ramirez is up top. Ramirez is a driver who's looking for a long-awaited return to victory lane. Ever since his last road course victory, which came Sonoma, California, season 14, Chad Winstead has gotten one on him. Dylan Clark went for 2. And ever since then, Lucas Lodato has gone for the next 3. So Ramirez, ever since his initial victory in the FTN era, he's gone, since that point, 0 for 6. Of course, for a driver as good as he is, I'm sure that stings. But tonight could be a chance to snap that streak. No driver's perfect, and likewise, Ramirez has the potential. He's had a great season so far as well. He's fighting up there in the top 3 in the championship race. Talking about that again. We've got our format for this night. 55-lap race for the Milwaukee Mile. Road course is 30 minutes long. We have 40 minutes to complete those 55 laps, by the way. So overall, it's not going to be the longest of nights. 2 smaller races instead of one big show, both of which in the state of Milwaukee. Roberto Ramirez finds himself now 5th in the championship race. He dropped down 2 as a result of what we saw last week. Unfortunately, he struggled late, and we saw a big move for Scott Zellner, getting himself up to 3rd in the championship title. DJ Stagner back to 2nd behind his teammate in Lodato. The swamp is still 1st, 2nd, and 4th in the championship picture. Zellner just happened to have the stronger night of the guys fighting for 2nd. DJ Stagner had the strongest night of all as he came home with a 2nd win on the campaign. Ramirez is now in 5th. His back is not against the wall yet. Matt Muir, who is 6th, is about 18 points back. But if Ramirez wants to get back up to 3rd, he's only 7 points out. And a night with a 2nd place finish would be big. Ramirez is on the outside. Looking with him is Lucas Lodato. Chad Winstead, of course, we mentioned that he's gotten the victory. The last one he got at a road course was season 14 as well. So since that point, he's found himself, as Ramirez is 0 for 6, it's been Winstead 0 for 5 since that point. Scott Zellner has been getting closer and closer as of late. One notable who is absent today is Austin Bloom. Bloom is typically a very good road course racer. He had a great race earlier this season at our dedicated road event. So I wouldn't be surprised to say we're missing out on one very firm competitor. Unfortunately, it just means that it's going to be a few more guys in the mid-pack than anything else. We're getting ready to rumble. The field is set. Lucas Lodato is in control. Estimates are that it's going to come in at a 14-lap race, but this race is dependent on time. It'll be 30 minutes on the clock when drivers cross the green flag, and by the time the time strikes 0, that's when the last lap will hit automatically. So the white flag will fly when the clock reaches 0. Lucas Lodato, he's the man to start it. Whoever is there leading at the time of the final minute will then see the white flag automatically wave. One lap to green, and the field is set. 18 drivers took times, going back to Colton Gardner in the starting grid. He's going to find himself P18. You'll have, up at the front of the field, of course, Lucas Lodato here, taking a full pace lap and getting ready to roll this time by. Here's a quick run-through of your starting grid. Lucas Lodato going to find himself on the pole position. Roberto Ramirez on the outside. Scott Zellner, Chad Winstead, Scott Wheeler, Tyler Hampton, Adam Bozzi, Connor Holden, Matthew Rodriguez, and Terry Brooks for the top 10. You'll then have 11th place, and that'll be Joshua Sim, with Matt Muir 12th, Jim Fott 13th, and Seb Miller P14. Jimmy McKee goes 15th, with Jacob Holm 16th. Dawson Buchanan 17th, and Colton Gardner 18th. 19th, DJ Stagg. 20th, Ty Smith. 21st, Dylan Pote. Corey Blevins 22nd. Jason Harris 23rd, and Kenny Brooks 24th. Conditions today are going to be overall mild, but a little bit cooler than usual. Ambient temp of 66 degrees and a track temp of 83%. Fahrenheit, 83 degrees that is. The percentage is high as well. Humidity is going to be about 74% with winds mild northbound as it stands. No sunshine at Elkhart Lake. Hopefully when we get over to West Allis, Wisconsin, it's a little bit better. But until then, well, we'll just have to wait and see. A shady day, at least to start, and Lucas Lodato is on the pole position. The 4-mile pace lap is even longer than those race laps in terms of time. Now, as we ascend uphill, the iRacing official pace car will let us go, and it's about time that we go racing unrestricted from Elkhart Lake. Welcome back to Road America. Lucas Lodato, the king of the road courses and your championship leader, is looking to make things work out just fine for the 7 team. Green flags out, 30 minutes on the clock. We're going timed racing in the Highline Racing League Wisconsin Doubleheader. Through the opening minute and a half, Lucas Lodato maintains his advantage, and so we are off to the races. Single file so far, and it looks like one loose a little bit further back. That looked to be Matthew Rodriguez. DJ Stagner going to go riding through the dirt, but overall it looks like he gets away just fine. The entire field gets through with us in the opening mile and a half. Corey Blevins now the last of which in 24th. He's been strong at the oval so far this season, but it looks like these twists and turns, not his forte. Nevertheless, Lucas Lodato is back to what he's been doing best so far, and that is leading and aiming to win. Although Roberto Ramirez is not yet in the dust, he's got a 0.6 of a second lead as he'll come across the line. For lap number 2, Lucas Lodato leads. Roberto Ramirez will trail him through. It looks like right now, comfortable advantage for the driver of the number 7. Allow Lodato to lead through. Maybe he'll burn himself out. That might be the thought for some of these drivers. Very challenging to tell whether or not there's any burnout factor for the number 7. Lodato has been so remarkably consistent that there doesn't seem to be anything that's fully stopped him in his pursuit so far. He's going to be coming down toward the Moraine sweep for turns 4 and 5 very soon. He'll have to make that right-hand corner and get back to work and go for a sharp left. Under the Sargento Cheese Bridge, right toward the Moraine sweep, in for turn number 5. Then you got two 90-degree angle corners, the first of which Moraine. Then you got turn 6, going right toward Hurry Downs. That's the section from 7 to 8. So you get past the 90 degrees, and then you'll see that right-handed bend. That's going to take these drivers all the way down to another sharp one that comes in at about 90 degrees once more. That leads the drivers toward the carousel. That's exactly where Roberto Ramirez is chasing Lodato toward. And this carousel section may be a lot more like Sonoma's than Watkins Glen. Not a lot of banking, but it's a big bend, and it takes you around about 180 degrees. Today's configuration, it looks like we're not using any extended bend and going right toward the kink in turn 11. It's a fast corner. This is the DRS section for those open wheel cars. And then we go under Kettle Bottoms. Right toward Canada Corner, that's turn 12. Out of the corner is sharp, and it looks like Lodato makes a mistake. Roberto Ramirez gets up in front, down Thunder Valley, and into the Bill Mitchell bend. Final corner coming up. This one's where the draft comes back into play, but Lodato slips up, and tonight he appears human. Uphill for lap 3. That's a lap around the Road America circuit. He's going to take the lead once again at the stripe. Ramirez not fast enough off corner exit, and even though Lucas gives it up by himself, he'll subsequently take it back, only for Roberto Ramirez to look to the inside. Lucas then is going to be forced to the outside of the corner. It looks like Roberto gets the apex. Lodato does not compromise, though, and Lucas is still faster, even with the inoptimal groove. Talk about a strong drive there from Lucas Lodato. Makes a mistake, fumbles the race lead, and he's lucky that he did so through Thunder Valley, coming toward the main section of the circuit. Into the moraine sweep once again. Winstead stays third, and for Chad right now, he is right on the back end. Queen City Racing's top man this year, Chad Winstead, the former champion, is looking to back up his previous efforts. Two-time former champion, of course, that's Scott Wheeler. Right now, he's running up in fourth. This would be his best race on the season by position so far. Two chances to succeed tonight, one of which coming today at the road course in Elkhart Lake. Then we'll go down to the Milwaukee Mile immediately thereafter. That's going to be our second race for 55 laps. So this first one isn't going to be the most consequential for everyone. The real battle lies up in front with these top three. And Lodato is now starting to stretch his advantage. Made a mistake, but he'll only be fooled once, at least for the time being. Terry Brooks coming through in the 23. You'll have just ahead of him Joshua Sim, Jimmy McKee. This is the battle for about the 11th place. Matt Muir is the final driver in the top 10. He and Matthew Rodriguez working together as always. Looks like they're in the back half of the top 10 right now and keeping it comfortable. Rodriguez all the way to the outside, and it looks like he'll keep himself straight. Then for that left-hand corner, a little bit slower. That gives Adam Bazzi a shot. And it looks like, navigating toward Thunder Valley, Rodriguez is able to just scrape away with the advantage. That was not easy in the slightest, but it looks like Rodriguez does make it through. Uphill again. Matthew at the line will still be P8. Jimmy McKee getting close to Terry Brooks, and now it looks like Brooks a little bit slower off exit. Here comes Dylan Poteet. And it looks like right now, Dylan's got himself a shot. 22 minutes left on the clock now. Brooks is going to fall back. That's going to put him in the 14th position. Dylan Poteet is the final man in the initial Baker's dozen. Lucas Lodato holds the advantage. It's a 1-second jump at the head of the field, and as he makes his way now past the Moraine Bend, the 90-degree segue is going to send him back on the order. Back toward the carousel anyway. Lucas Lodato finds himself now full second up. Roberto Ramirez still running comfortably in second here, but it looks like he's just not hitting the marks of the number 7 in Lodato. Take a ride on board now with Ramirez and you'll see exactly what's going on. Ramirez, while far from shaky, just has not been able to match that mechanical perfection from Lucas Lodato. It's all about every moment when you're racing for the win. Usually we say that at a road course, you don't have to be perfect to get the job done. We say that because seconds come and go at these circuits. Maybe you'll miss a corner, Maybe the next driver around you will miss a corner. That could cost you a second, it could cost you a second or two, but relatively speaking, you'll be around the same people all the time. But when you're dealing with a driver like Lucas Lodato, that's impossible to come by. Almost. He made one mistake today, but was able to get the lead back within the same lap, within the same sector, in fact, and did so down the final stretch. And Lodato's capability in doing just that, time and time again, lap after lap, is the most impressive thing. And I think that's where the difference is between he and a Ramirez, or he and a Scott Wheeler, or Scott Zellner, or all those guys up in front. He's been able to do everything almost perfect, hitting his marks. It's easier said than done. We often say it in the broadcast booth as a word of advice, but to actually do that, and do it so regularly, is nearly impossible. And Lucas Lodato has done so. So far, he's going to find himself a flat second up and ahead. Scott Wheeler, number 97, he finds himself just behind, now getting up to the third position. Scott Zellner, of course, one of the Flying Scotsmen, third and fourth right now, the 97 Wheeler. And then you got that fourth place driver, the number 2. These two teammates for the Four Horsemen Racing Brigade. And right now when it comes to teams, it's them in the swamp so far. Lucas Lodato, of course, representing Swamp Motorsport. "19 minutes on the clock. Adam Bozzi 7th to 9th as it stands. And it looks like down 2 placements. He's been battling firmly with Matthew Rodriguez. 18 minutes on the clock right now for Rodriguez to get closer. Of the top 10, 9 drivers remain from qualifying. 12th up to 10th. Matt Muir slides right out of line. He was the exception who made it in from outside the top 10. That won't be the case coming through turn 14. Muir messes up big. That gives Jimmy McKee an opportunity. At the line, McKee in the 48 makes his way to the top 10. How about that for Jimmy McKee, the SP Designs number 48, and he's back in business. 18 minutes, 17 seconds on the clock, coming toward halfway. McKee gets a big break. Matt Muir, not so much. He's going to drop down several spots fast. Tyler Hampton, 6th to 6th. Hampton's going to find himself holding a comfortable wheel today. It looks like he and teammate Jim Fott on different ends of the spectrum, because right now Fott is still struggling. He's down 7 on the day. 21st place. He's almost there. That number 21 not having the best of events. 13th place he qualified, but it looks like the struggles in the race pace have been evident. Tyler Hampton is not necessarily a road race ace in his own right, but the Valvoline machine, understandably, is doing a great job at keeping it consistent. And so far, as he comes across the line once again, he's going to have himself right where he needs to be to go for another spot. That is, if there's a mistake. He's 7 seconds back on Winstead, but hitting marks is the difference maker. Chad Winstead coming up on Scott Wheeler now. This is the battle for 4th. It looks like Winstead's got a shot. A lot of bouncing particles on the circuit tonight. Haven't seen that before. Not coming off the cars, it just might be coming off the grass, but it doesn't look like grass at all. Number 60 of Chad Winstead now making it through the exit of turn 14. And as he does so, he'll put the pedal to the metal. Let's see if the draft helps him at all. It's champion on champion now. Between these two drivers, 3 championships are split. "16 minutes remaining and time to spare." Winstead's getting up there to Wheeler. Lucas Lodato has not broken away yet. He's held the race lead, but it looks like he hasn't been able to pull his own groove. Second is, of course, a big lead for Lodato if he's so consistent, but it looks like Roberto Ramirez has really turned it up another level in his own right. I mean, the last 4 laps, he's been able to keep that gap just where it needs to be. In fact, he actually gained over the last lap and might still be making moves. Ramirez has been trying to directly put pressure on Lodato now for about a year when it comes to the road races. Chicago Street did not go his way. Ramirez was mired in good competition when we went road racing earlier this season. Overall, in Montreal as well, where Lodato broke out for his first win, he just could not be touched. Tonight looks a little bit different. And I think I'm saying that mainly because Lodato slipped up pretty clearly and gave the lead right through Thunder Alley to Roberto Ramirez, but also because Roberto right now is matching his times. That time by 2:13.476 to a 2:13.186. Roberto Ramirez, he's got himself made. And he's right now a little bit faster perhaps than Lodato on a lap-to-lap basis. And if he can keep those good exits to corners coming, particularly going through the longest sections of the circuit, he's got a shot. He went through Kettle Downs and made up about a tenth or two. At the line, he was only 65/100ths of a second off. That is not a major margin. And in fact, I think there's a perfect opportunity now for him to take hold. At the line again, it looks like Roberto overall still gains on this lap, but there could be cause for concern. We're halfway down and halfway to go with 14 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Jimmy McKee getting some pressure now from DJ Stagner. DJ up 14 places so far. 24th up to 10th. Stagner at the line now is going to find himself right on the back end of that McKee machine. In fact, now Jimmy's got no choice but to move to the outside. Does it work out in his favor as it did previously for Lodato? Not at all. He'll back out and he'll let DJ Stagner take the spot. That puts DJ up to 8th and continues his rapid ascension up the ladder. DJ Stagner has now gained a total of 16 places on the day, starting 24th and last, and he's gotten himself in the top 10. Second place in the championship standings. Again, not necessarily a road course racer per se, but he's putting his all into it tonight, and it is showing. DJ leads Jimmy McKee right now 15th to 8th. Joshua Sim 11th to 7th, and we often catch up to him when he's doing good, and then he gets involved in an incident. That's been quite the trend so far this year for Sim. But it looks like right now, as he's just inside the top 10, he's got a comfortable gap compared to those behind him, and he has about 10 seconds to play with to stay inside the top 10, give or take. So the 51 of Sim has a great opportunity on his hands to right the wrongs of the early season blues. DJ Stagner going to be further out from this battle. The Flying Scotsman and Chad Winstead all together. Winstead right now in that number 60, the last man involved in the fight. He still hasn't been able to get up to the 97 of Wheeler. Scott keeps on fighting. And of course, both Scotts do, but Zellner hasn't done it to do so directly. The offense really hasn't been on for him. That's all he has to worry about, running his laps. Roberto Ramirez again a little bit closer now, coming across the line. This will be the tightest gap of the last 5 laps. Roberto 6/10ths back as he comes across the stripe. 12 minutes remaining, and Ramirez has cut the gap to its closest deficit in the last 10 minutes. "11 minutes and 53 seconds left, and it's all about Lucas Lodato and Roberto Ramirez. Now as they make their way right past the Sargento Cheese Bridge, it's about time for sector number 2, the Moraine Sweep and the 90-degree back-to-back, turns 5 and 6 respectively. Turn 6 is going to do a number right now for these guys uphill and backing it down. Lodato here sliding through. He still has himself ahead, but the indomitable nature of his racing stature has been challenged tonight. Ramirez is staying in there within a second over the course of the first 19 minutes. He's getting close, and sometimes the gap is within a half second here. coming toward the carousel. 0.5, and a little bit less, in fact. Watching driver telemetry for these two drivers, it is remarkably similar, and that's where it has to be. Logano is setting the example, but if anyone else wants to win, particularly Roberto Ramirez, he would have to best what he's seeing right ahead of him. 0.4 of a second. Roberto Ramirez is there. And this is undoubtedly the biggest challenge he's ever had to face in the Highline Racing League. While we've seen him so consistently a great driver, yes, he hasn't been able to get through Logano in any moment like this ever before. Tonight is the test as to whether or not he can. It might not be a full hour, but this is a 30-minute sprint where all bets are off. It's another big gain, about a 10th overall for Roberto Ramirez as he comes up the hill. At the line, in the 0.5 second bracket as drivers go through the stripe. Less than 10 minutes remaining. Lucas Logano and Roberto Ramirez are full on. Scott Zellner remains third, and Chad Winstead goes fourth. Scott Wheeler is going to be P5 here. Passing the Corvette Corral, as you can see, and making it right down the Moraine sweep. That's the end goal. Another smooth lap. Roberto Ramirez is tighter than he has been all night long, with the exception of that one slip-up from Logano. Looks like right now it's a tight fight. Lucas, little wide there, no trouble. And he's going to have to push the limits if he wants to do anything with this car right now. Throwing it back to the days of the win number, not the number 7, but the number 83 win Kmart combination for Lake Speed, who in his own right was an amazing road course racer. He was able to come through with the 1979 World Karting Championship. He did so over many a talented driver, including one you might know by name. We'll talk about that a little bit more now, as it's a gap of 0.3 of a second. Speed was one of the very few American competitors, and in fact, he was the first of which to ever come through with a World Karting Championship for the United States. Doing so, independently backed, making his way through and fighting round after round, Speed went on to a multi-decade career in the NASCAR Cup Series, beginning in the 1980s, the early ones at that, and ending in the 1990s. He spent more than a decade in the business, came through with one Cup Series victory, did so amid the tire war at that, and of course is well remembered. Maybe not one of the most consistent drivers for victories, but his biggest triumph, winning once over a young man who was named at that time Ayrton Da Silva, who ended up being the well-known multi-time F1 champion Ayrton Senna. He did so head-to-head for the World Karting Championship in 1979. No one can take that away from Lake Speed, and tonight Logano emanates again that great road course racing prowess. He still has Ramirez just behind him. It's a half second with 7 minutes and 42 seconds. Clock is running out for every driver here. The closer battles are slowly but surely fading out. This is the only battle right now, if you look inside the top 20, that is within a half second. Within 1 second right now overall, you're going to see Adam Bozzi and Jimmy McKee. It looks like right now that's going to be the number 48 with a slight edge. Number 48 machine of McKee, and you'll have Bozzi running 10th, but no one else has kept it so tight so consistently, and of course the stakes are higher up in front. McKee got the big break as it was Matt Muir who fell out of the top 10 as he went into it, and so far it looks like not a mistake made from the 48 crew ever since. Six minutes and 30 seconds left. Coming very soon here. We're only expecting to get about 3 more laps in based on estimates. We're up to lap 11 right now. The end of 14 would be the checkered flag. Lucas Logano's kept him honest, but it looks like, again, it's going to be another breakaway. The 7 is starting to pull through once more. Not for several seconds, but those important tenths that matter big time here. making it past our carousel and going under kettle bottoms. It could be the differentiator between this lap and the next that spells victory or defeat for a driver. Thunder Valley again in Canada Corner might prove pivotal. It's where Lodato gave up the race lead prior, but it looks like right now he is buckled in and is looking to hang on for the victory. It'll only be 55 laps or 40 minutes of oval racing after this, so we're coming up on the very end of our night. But it will start with a bang. 5 minutes left. Very soon, we're only going to have about 3 minutes remaining by the time these drivers cross the stripe again. Gap is 6/10. Lodato loose, but he keeps it together. Take a look on board with your race leader. Lodato so far has been able to play a nearly perfect route since his slip-up about 15 minutes ago. But still, a second is what separates he and Roberto Ramirez. Not at all a comfortable gap, but for Lodato, it's all he has. There's nothing more than he can do but to look back and wonder what's next. Scott Wheeler getting closer again to Chad Winstead, this time in opposite order. Winstead able to break by. That's going to be for P4. Wheeler again is going to be in his qualifying position in 5th. These two Ford Mustangs have not let each other up all night long. Still looks like it's the case. Winstead slightly tapping the grass there, and as the sun begins to shine at long last, it's going to be a bright battle between these two. It looked like Wheeler had the edge early. Not so much any longer, and you can see right now from the highs to lows, he was as high as 3rd, and he's back to his lowest position in 5th. Both of these drivers have been in the top 5 all race long. The only big mover, DJ Stagner's gone from 24th up to 6th. What a day for that 64, but this is the battle we're looking at now. We'll see if Wheeler has anything or if he's just going to run and trail. Three minutes, 31 seconds. Ramirez is going to fall back big on this lap, and the gap is now 1.7 seconds, the most it's been all night long. And it looks like now Ramirez faltering, and that could have been the difference between victory or defeat. Now Roberto finds himself more than a second off, and while the gap was previously uncomfortable for the 7 of Lodato, I think he's going to take a look back now, briefly, and perhaps breathe a sigh of relief. We're going to see one more lap after this. That will be the white flag lap. We're at lap 13. Next lap will settle it. Ramirez is now 2 seconds back. He's already lost about a quarter of a second on this lap alone. And Chad Winstead maintains 4th. Dylan Pote going to be coming up on Jimmy McKee. That's the battle for 10th and 11th here. Jimmy's going to get close now to losing it as he goes to the outside. And it looks like as they make their way right down the Sargento Cheese Bridge and under the Moraine Sweep, Dylan Pote's got the edge down the straightaway. I don't think he will through the corners. And through the apex, Pote blows it. McKee is going to get away by taking it slow and steady. Dylan Pote down a spot. He won't be able to get in the top 10 easy. That gives Adam Bozzi instead P10. Jimmy McKee up to 9th. And he'll gain another spot. Chad Winstead right there with Scott Wheeler even still. A minute and 42 on the clock. These two cannot quit. Winstead all over the back end of the 97 here. 90 seconds left, still counting down. The quick lane Ford Mustang has the intention, and every intention of that, of defending to hang on. With this being our next coming lap, the last one, There's nothing else to do. White flag is going to fly on this lap. There's less than 2 minutes on the clock, and this is it. Your final lap from Road America. Now, Lodato is 2 seconds up on Roberto Ramirez. Scott Zellner is in third, and after a valiant fight, Ramirez slips up late, and the gap is ever growing. It's now 3 seconds. Again, Lodato is looking for his 4th consecutive road course win in all of his 4 starts. Unbelievable. Within 4 miles away from victory, Lodato for the very first time slipped up and lost the race lead under green, but it didn't mean he'd lose it forever. In fact, now it looks like he's got the perfect opportunity to prove even he can make mistakes, redeem himself, and recover from them. And it looks like now, as he's far and ahead with 4 seconds, Ramirez might fade back. Scott Zellner getting closer now. We'll see what happens next. Gaps are overall bigger than ever. Jimmy McKee and Adam Bozzi might be the only fight left. McKee was able to dodge a bullet in the form of Dylan Poteet, burning it through turn 5, but neither of these drivers will make that same mistake here. DJ Stagner, 24th up to 6th. He's the biggest mover of the day by a far and away margin, 18 spots gained, and no one's been able to stop him. He's gone from the back of the field all the way up, and the checkered flag, while out of sight for him, still an incredible run. Lucas Lodato, though, he's doing what he does best at these road circuits. He is here to win. And as he comes across the checkered flag and makes his way down through Thunder Alley, it's another victory for our most dominant road course driver. Here to do it once again. Lucas Lodato, 4 consecutive road course wins in his Highline Racing League career, and to add to that, it's win number 4 on the season. Lucas Lodato wins from the Road America Elkhart Lake Circuit. He'll take your first win of the day, and now we'll move on to the Milwaukee Mile. And another great effort from Roberto Ramirez, but he couldn't quite get the job done. Lodato leads every lap on the day and comes home victorious. And he's about ready to burn it down. Lodato collects the checkered flag and he's about to celebrate. With a brief celebration, Lodato puts to rest his number 7, and the night comes to a close. At least in Road America, we've still got our second race coming up. Before that point, let's get a word now from Lucas Lodato and your top 3. Lodato wins over Roberto Ramirez in 2nd, Scott Zellner in 3rd, and Scott Wheeler, position number 4. Then from there, you're going to have 5th place in Chad Winstead. 6th place is DJ Stagner. Tyler Hampton goes for 7th. 8th is going to be Joshua Sim, P9 on the day. Then from there will be Jimmy McKee, and Adam Bozzi gets the job done for the 10th place. 11th place on the order immediately after is Dylan Poteet. 12th will be Connor Holden with Terry Brooks in 13th, Matt Muir 14th, and Sebastian Miller P15. Jacob Hom finishes 16th with Jim Fott 17th, Dawson Buchanan 18th, 19th for Colton Gardner, and Matthew Rodriguez, then finishing P20. Your final 4 drivers on the day go as follows, with Jason Harris retiring and finishing in 21st. Same going for Ty Smith as he comes away 22nd. 23rd is Kenny Brooks, and P24, that is Corey Blevins. The closest race we've seen at these road courses in several seasons, Lucas Lodato was not infallible tonight. However, even with some slip-ups and maybe some tighter racing than typical, Logano still finds his way back to victory lane. When it comes to road courses, it's his fourth consecutive win. When it comes to the season, it's his fourth total. Lucas Logano, you're very familiar with this position and the road courses. But I'll tell you this much, tonight was a fight. You really had to work for it.
Yeah, definitely wasn't as easy as, I guess everybody kind of expects. I don't really, I think this tonight kind of proved that I'm human. I think a lot of people like to say that I'm a free win on the road courses, but really, I did not make that easy for myself. That is for sure. But it was a great fight. It was fun keeping it clean with everybody. I tried giving it away a couple times, but it was really nice. Everybody driving nice and clean. So yeah, really, really, really fun race.
And tonight, of course, the big battle came down between you and Roberto Ramirez. For the majority of the race, that was a battle between 1 second, and we even saw you lost the race lead for a brief moment and had to fight to get it back.
Yeah, that was a little bit scary, especially because Chad had a huge run coming in behind, and he could have probably sent it on me too. But thankfully, I was able to get a really good drive off of the last corner there, and I was able to take the lead back before the line, which I was pretty surprised about actually. That sort of worked out for me like that. But yeah, thankful for that. Yeah, it was just overall really fun night, really fun race. It was a lot of hard work, man. That track is just really high speed, constant big braking zones, and I mean Monza's the same way, but like we did earlier in the season. But those corners are pretty square. There's not a lot of like the carousel at at Road America, and there's just so many big braking zones, a lot of elevation that Monza doesn't have. It was a tough fight, tough fight. The car is difficult to drive, and it's fun. It's good. It should be like that. So yeah.
And you mentioned that before we head to the Milwaukee Mile, we're here in Wisconsin, and this is one of those big tracks everyone knows when it comes to the state. Road America, 4 mile circuit. I believe it's the longest road course we've gone to in several seasons just by mileage. 4 miles every lap. It's quite overbearing. How was it for you to manage that compared to anything we've done previous?
Yeah, there's a lot of tire fall off just within the one lap. I mean, I figured I gave away probably a tenth and a half in my qualifying run, just missing a couple apexes, especially the last corner. And I went to go after it on my second lap, and even if I didn't make that mistake going into turn three, I guess that is there, I still probably wouldn't have done it just with the tires. The track is so long and the tires are worked so hard that it's difficult, man. It's a very different challenge, as you said, just having a really, really, really long lap.
And tonight, despite all those challenges, you start the day, of course, with a win. We've got our next race coming up next in the Milwaukee Mile. So before we let you go and head there, how you feeling about your chances perhaps to double up?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm already in the session. I'm doing some laps. It's very flat. I've only ever raced here in an IndyCar, and that was back when the track was kind of broken, and so the top side was basically the only place you could be. So I got a lot to learn in a really short amount of time here. But it's pretty similar to where we were last week in Nashville, just without the banking, and less bumpy. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, I ran up front last week, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think a lot of guys ran, especially the Swamp guys, ran this in a different league. I think maybe Integrity or something like that, and so they have a lot more recent stock car experience here. And I think I'm gonna try to be leaning on them to give me a few tips for this race.
Well, with that said, Lucas Logano, you pull through and you start this night maybe the same way everyone would have expected. Nevertheless, the checkered flag is yours. You're getting the job done here from Road America. And now you're on for our second race. Thank you again for stopping by.
Yep, thank you.
And with Lucas Logano on the move, tonight Roberto Ramirez kept things exciting for the road course portion till the very end. Ramirez, second place in this run, and it's about the tightest fight we've seen for the road courses in several years, and it looked like it really could have gone either way till the very end. Second place, how you feeling?
I felt pretty good. That was the best I feel like I've been on a road course execution wise in a little bit. It was nice to be able to give Lucas a run for it. He still got us in the end, but I mean he's just so good at these things, and anytime that you can go out there and run with the best guy in the series at any given track it's cool. So yeah, getting ready for Milwaukee now, but yeah, I'm honestly pretty stoked with it. Feel like my tires kind of hit a cliff with 3 to go, and that was pretty much it. But yeah, it was cool to have the lead for a corner. I don't know the last time that anyone's done that against Lucas on a road course, so feels pretty good.
And undoubtedly something we don't see all too often, or at least we haven't seen it as of late. It took quite a lot to get you up there in the race-leading fight, but you made sure it wasn't easy for Logano. How was it for you just to hit those marks, and for some periods it looked like you were quicker than him just to maintain that gap?
Yeah, I honestly think that's just the best executed race that I've had in a little bit. You have to be perfect against Lucas, and that was what made it fun, right? Like, I'm not here to just like the last time at Road America, I led every lap, and you know I'm happy that honestly this feels a little better. Um, I would have loved to win a race because it's been a while, but um, when you have to go and really earn it and just be perfect every lap, I was running qualifying laps every lap, and just I really felt like up until the last couple laps when my tires gave way that I was doing everything I could to hit the marks. Honestly, the only regret I had in the entire race was when I got the lead from Lucas for a corner, I kind of just gave it right back to him. But yeah, no, to go up against Lucas at a road course, I mean, you gotta be on your A++ game. So I have no shame in that, and yeah, looking forward to Milwaukee right now.
And you're right about that. We're heading toward the Milwaukee Mile as we speak. Big thing about this track, as we're coming right toward it, is it's pretty simple now that we know this much. We've got one race out of the way. The points race is tight. You find yourself with maybe a chance to slide back up to as high as third in the standings and keep it a close fight between the Swamp Motorsport guys and yourself. How confident are you in heading back to this 1 mile circuit?
I feel pretty good. I don't honestly have a lot of experience on this particular track, but I feel like it suits my style. But either way, we'll give it our best.
With that said now, second place already in the books to start the night and a chance to go for another strong run. Roberto Ramirez, second place from Road America. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
With Ramirez on the way, one final driver we'd like to speak to, Scott Zellner, once again strong to the road circuits. Road America, quite the challenge in itself, but you rose up to it and gave it another podium run. Number 2 team, P3.
Yeah, it was decent night, and I kind of had to finish in third, considering Lucas won and got the most points. I think I should be second in points once they get updated. So kind of just makes my job all that much harder going into Milwaukee, which we're running right now in practice, and it's my first time running on this racetrack. So, I mean, solid effort on the road course. Just got to finish it off on the oval now.
And you mentioned the goal of continuing that solid performance. Right now, you find yourself firmly third place in the championship race. It's tight between you and Roberto Ramirez in instance. Of course, both of you on the podium, which makes it even tighter. So I'd have to ask, since we're heading now right toward our qualifying session, one final thing. What's the game plan to maintain consistency at such a different style of track?
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. You were cutting out there for a minute, so I didn't really hear what you said. But yeah, just hoping for a good, solid podium effort in the second race also.
Consistency is key as we head toward our qualifying. Well, with that said, Scott Zellner, we're heading toward a qualifying session now. Third place from Road America. Thank you again for your time.
Thanks, David.
So, gotten toward our second track. Same state, different circuit. Welcome to the Milwaukee Mile. It's going to be the 1 mile circuit that we bring you to for our second feature of the day. All 24 drivers return. It's going to be the same drivers, a different grid. 55 laps are on the occasion tonight. It's going to be 40 minutes allotted to finish through them all. So in case we see a few incidents, we do have a little bit of buffer if necessary. Although it's highly unlikely we're going to have to end up using that buffer. It could come to pass. A much shorter race than our traditional efforts. Usually when we head to this circuit, we go for upwards of 120 laps. This is a little bit shorter than half that today, as drivers are now setting their times. Everyone's on the circuit right now, so why don't we take a look downstairs? Here you can see Adam Bozzi getting to business, as does, previously on the screen, Terry Brooks. Dylan Poteet going to come across the line. This will be for his first qualifying lap. Times being set as we speak, and it looks like currently at the top of the board will be Connor Holden setting that first fast lap. Rest of the field will be sitting behind him for now, but don't expect that to be a constant. We're going to see quick laps taken very quickly, just to put it simply. As it stands, Holden's going to have himself up and ahead with teammate Sebastian Miller. These drivers, as previously mentioned, they have that experience in the Integrity Racing League. They went with the Xfinity Series cars to this venue just a few weeks ago, live on FTN, so the Swamp guys have the edge. 13th place is where Sebastian Miller finished in that event. He was able to outfinish his teammates and showed out for a 13th place finish. DJ Stagner on that night, he finished overall. He found himself quite far back at the end of the race. He finished in 22nd from 42nd on the grid. Not his night by all means. Ryan Potter, he went 32nd overall when it comes to the finishing order. He's not with us racing today, but the Swamp saw multiple drivers take to this track before. And so now it looks like Miller, with that experience, is at the top of the board by 1,000th of a second over his teammate. DJ now going to be going for his times. There's Corey Blevins. Blevins is currently 11th. It looks like no gain there, but DJ Stagner takes the top spot. It'll be the Swamp 1, 2, 3 in qualifying. Lodato goes 10th, but his other teammates put their work in. Now it's going to be Scott Wheeler and Jason Harris, the final two drivers. Wheeler at the line, got his first lap in. It'll put him 19th, and he's set to improve on the second and final efforts. 19th place on the order here with a minute and 45 remaining. Time to spare, of course, for this Ford Mustang, but he's also going to be using up both laps consecutively here, so there's really nothing else he can do. Jason Harris, the only other driver we're waiting on. It looks like contact, and the qualifying run comes to an end. No improvement there for the number 97 crew. He falls back to 20th, and it looks like every driver has taken their time. Winstead is now on pit road. Roberto Ramirez is choosing instead to take some extra laps here, hoping to figure out his groove. His qualifying run has come to a close, and he is going to be sitting 16th as it stands. All 24 drivers with a time. Jason Harris will be the last of which he took times, but they weren't officially validated. As you saw, he made contact multiple times over, and his laps finished as such. "42 seconds left. Ramirez, the only driver here getting some reps in. Championship race is tight. A reminder that he is 7 points off right now, getting up to the top 3 in the standings. It just comes down to one more good race. But if there's anyone who held him at bay, it was obviously Scott Zellner. Zellner might not have had the second place performance, but he did one spot lower, and that was enough to reduce the damage. He finished in third, while Ramirez got P2, and the differences between them are effectively negligible when you think about it that way. Checkered flag is out on qualifying. DJ Stagner, much as his teammate Lodato did in the race prior, collects the pole position. 24 driver starting grid, ready to take the track on for 55 laps. iRacing official pace car is loaded in and the field now follows it. Let's take a look at that starting grid. Once again, it's a stout one. DJ Stagner, Sebastian Miller, and Connor Holden, all teammates, find themselves at the top of the board. DJ runs a lap a tenth of a second quicker than anyone else. Sebastian Miller runs 1,000th quicker than his own teammate. Chad Winstead, then and there, is going to qualify in 4th with Colton Gardner, P5, Jimmy McKee in 6th, Scott Zellner, 7th, and Lucas Lodato going P8. Dawson Buchanan, 9th place on the day, and to round out the top 10 is Jim Fott in the number 21. The gap between 1st and 10th is about 4/10 of a second worth on pace. Jimmy McKee and company from about 6th on down, only 1/10 of a second. The big difference? DJ Stagner's rocket ship lap. Then from there, you'll have 11th place in Dylan Poteet and Terry Brooks in 12th. 13th goes Corey Blevins, and then you'll have 14th Joshua Sim, Tyler Hampton. 15th, Roberto Ramirez, 16th place. 17th goes immediately after an Adam Bozzi, and Matt Muir for 18th. Scott Wheeler, P19. Matthew Rodriguez, P20. Your final 4 drivers: Ryan Potter, Kenny Brooks, Jacob Halm, Jason Harris. 24 drivers, all lined up and ready to get to work. DJ, as the control car, of course, has full control, no pun intended, as to how this race will start, and that might be the differentiator as to whether or not he wins. He's got some teammates to back him here, in the form of Miller and Holden. With them running in 2nd and 3rd, it means that he's got a direct line of defense that is very hard to break through, especially if you're an opposing driver. DJ, winning last week with 2 on the season, could find himself only 1 win behind again Lucas Lodato, who just went for his 4th. DJ, of course, would like to go for win number 3. He'll only be 1 win behind by that point. He still finds himself oh so close to getting the job done. One lap to green now, and it's going to be all about Stagner on the inside. At the back of the field, all drivers have made it in. Jason Harris, you'll see him there in the Nationwide 88. Jacob Halm in the 44. And with the field connected, it looks like they're getting ready to go at it once more. One race, looks like tonight it wasn't enough. Instead, we're going for a doubleheader. As the field comes across the stripe, it'll be official. Track conditions go as follows: 85 degrees Fahrenheit for the track and ambient temperature of 76 degrees. Lowering now to 66. The day has gotten a little bit cooler from where we started in practice. Relative humidity is 70%. Overall, quite familiar compared to what we saw in Road America. The field has packed their bags and they've made it over to the oval circuit. 55 laps on the table. It's a short sprint, and it'll be led tonight by the number 64 of DJ Stagner. Green flags out for our 2nd race of the day. DJ gets the ball rolling. At the line, DJ Stagner with the race lead. He'll take that opening lap, and doing so with his team, it looks like there's no stopping them so far. As a matter of fact, now Lucas Lodato already making gains. He's up from 8th to 6th, +2 so far. Chad Winstead finding himself fourth, Sebastian Miller third, and as these two drivers go at it, it's going to be another side-by-side affair. Sebastian Miller right now has the advantage as he's working the inside, and I think that lower groove is going to be the big one all night long. Not expecting to see all too many drivers decide to go up top intentionally. The Milwaukee Mile having just over 10 degrees of banking means it's a big challenge to do that. Of course, it's possible, yes, to use the high side here, but it's very rarely used effectively. At the line now for lap number 4, to the inside, it's teammate on teammate here. DJ Stagner toe-to-toe with Connor Holden. Holden looking for that race lead, and it looks like now the 81 is going to get it. The Swamp currently runs first, second, third, and sixth as it stands. DJ Stagner right now, while he's still up in that team affair, he might fall down as an individual, and he's going to let Sebastian Miller go at it. Seb is right there. Doesn't look like he's as quick as Connor Holden just yet, but it's a clear difference from what we saw to start this. It looks like now DJ's going to let through, and it's going to be, of course, the number 81 up and ahead. Watch out now for the battle for fourth. Winstead, Lodato, and Jimmy McKee. And if Lodato gets up there, it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4 for the Swamp Motorsport Brigade. Inside, Ramirez on Winstead. That pass will put Lucas up into P5, and Roberto Ramirez, he makes another pass at the same time. You'll watch him here for 13th. He just got by Terry Brooks. Jimmy McKee going 6th to 4th. Of course, a great start for him. But we'll see what happens now if Lucas Lodato can claw him back. The Swamp Motorsports Brigade expected to be strong tonight, and they're already showing they've got the pace. So far, putting Connor Holden in control, working out well. DJ Stagner staying just a position behind, and it looks like he hasn't capitalized on much ever since. Holden's comfortable now leading the way, looking for his first win of the season. The Swamp would be looking for already a chance at win number 7 on the calendar. And what a team dynasty it's been season 19. Unlike any other for the Swamp Motorsports guys. Of course, we saw early on with season 14, it was the Four Horsemen Racing Brigade. They went at it, and we saw previously Blacktop Racing fight for a title, Alan Cummin, Jimmy McKee, and we saw the Four Horsemen do it again with Scott Zellner, but never have we seen an entire team do what the Swamp Motorsports crew is doing right now, and that is going out there and winning race after race after race in different ways, at different types of tracks, with multiple drivers. That's the unbelievable part. Connor Holden at the helm again. He won last season, and that was the prelude to what ended up being the long haul. It looks like all of a sudden, he might just be able to do it again for his second consecutive season. Holden knows what it means to get a race victory, and he's done so even outside of the superspeedway context. But it is a thorough challenge when he's facing up against his own team, perhaps his biggest competition. DJ Stagner's going to let him loose, though, and it looks like that's going to help him out immensely. He's gotten ahead, and in the opening 10 laps, he's led almost all of which. Seb Miller stays third, Lodato stays fourth. It's going to be firmly single file all the way down. Roberto Ramirez a little bit more struggling so far early. He's 13th, whereas a rival in the championship in Scott Zellner runs in 6th. So we'll see what happens here because the 41 doesn't quite have it compared to his adversaries. That's something that will prove important as the night goes on, but currently, he still has a lot of time to build up. To the inside, Terry Brooks now on Jim Fogg. Brooks ducks low, and it looks like Colton Gardner stays just above him. Colton right now going to be trying to hang on for 12th position. Would be one of his better races on the calendar so far in the number 40. Colton Gardner is a veteran who's been with us season after season, and when we talk about the championship pylon, well, you'll see he's got the goal right now of making his way up, and a night like this would be a big help in that. He's right now 19th in the championship race, might be able to make his way up a little bit further and get up maybe even into the top 15 with some more consistency. Terry Brooks goes low, Colton Gardner stays high. They're going to be head-to-head between these two. Swamp Motorsports trio cannot miss at the front of the field. They're still 1, 2, 3, and now it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. As you might have noticed, Lucas Lodato, he might not be on the podium, but he also has joined his teammates to be directly up and ahead. First through fourth. Talk about a strong lineup. Lucas Lodato, who already won the first race on the day, he might be at the back of it, but he's still proven he's got what it takes. We'll see if Lodato can do anything from here. Currently, it looks like he might not have the stuff to catch up for a podium run, but as long as he plays this defensive route for his team, then he's really going to be in good spirits. 15 laps in out of 55. Coming to lap 16, Scott Zellner is the first driver not with the Swamp Motorsports crew to be up and in front. He currently finds himself running 5th place. Winstead is 6th. 7th will be Jimmy McKee. Looks like even still, nothing has changed. "16 laps in out of 55, you'll see it. Scott Zellner, Chad Winstead, Jimmy McKee holding constant, but the closer battles are a little bit further back. And this is where we would say it's the Hornet's Nest. Double file racing, Terry Brooks, Jim Fott. Here comes the 21 to the inside. Jim, the rookie, looking to make it happen, get himself closer to teammate Tyler Hampton. Looks like right now, he's a little bit further back than he would like on that accord compared to where Tyler usually is. But as you can see, 15th to 22nd, Hampton was able to shine in the road course racing, but he hasn't done much of anything so far here. Interesting to see that contrast, because it looks like tonight Hampton may be performing opposite to the expectations that he would do great when we went oval racing and maybe underwhelm at the road course. Right now, not quite the same. He's going to find himself 22nd, only 2 drivers behind him, and Jason Harris and Jacob Halm, and both of which right now several seconds back. Lucas Lodato still ahead of Scott Zellner. Further on back, the closest fights remain. You'll see Joshua Sims side by side with Terry Brooks. Sim ran serviceably in the last race and might be going for a shot at twin top 15s. Maybe a chance at a twin top 10 if he gets closer to someone like, say for instance, Corey Blevins. Blevins runs 11th. He's the first driver out the top 10. He still hasn't got there yet, but I'll say he's rather close. "19 laps in out of 55. These opening 20 have gone by rapidly, and it looks like that's going to be the trend for this race. Seeing drivers run cleanly, making things happen, knowing tonight doesn't have to rely all too much on the strategy calls. One spins in the back. The call on the field is "We stay green." That was Matthew Rodriguez, and he ends up sliding. Here's a one-lap replay, and you'll see what happened there. Rodriguez goes around for a fast 360 and keeps it out of the way. Matthew, down the back straightaway, looked to be far out of Tyler Hampton's sight. Now he's down to 23rd, mind you. Hampton got closer, contact up the track, and both drivers dove in deep there. Hampton ends up getting low, and it looks like across the line, nothing came of it there. Now watch up next, and we're going to see it again. The lap after, Rodriguez was further behind, so he lost the spot, and he lost that time. And that's where the issue comes in. Loose to begin with, he was drifting through 1 and 2, and then he ends up spinning it around. Going to 3 and 4 alone. Watch what happens. Just like that. Rodriguez, luckily, is going to save it. Nobody else was there, and he finds himself now last on the field. Side by side again, though, for the race lead, and it's still between the teammates. DJ Stagner goes for the inside move. And it looks like now the veterans got it up in front. Stagner for his 3rd win of the season. And it looks like all of a sudden we've got that in-team fight for the championship. Again, those two drivers, Lodato and Stagner, would combine for 7 wins on the season. And what a way to do it if they both, of course, win tonight. The swamp, regardless, has the most likely possibility of going for that 7th win. But for it to be divided only between 2 of their drivers, Stagner and Lodato, is a little bit more unlikely the more you think about it. Coming up to just over 30 laps to go. Lucas Lodato to the inside now on Sebastian Miller. This will also give Scott Zellner a shot to break the ice. Trying to get in between the Swamp Motorsports shuffle, but it looks like so far he hasn't got there yet. Lodato and Sebastian Miller, both of which now facing the heat. Lodato able to get away, and I don't know if now Miller's going to be able to hang on. He's still firmly in the top 5, but it looks like, even though the majority of the Swamp gotten the job done to break away, there's only one driver that's kept up with them. And the number 2 of Zellner is that man. Zellner's still there. 3 car lengths across 3 drivers. Half a second now between DJ Stagner, Connor Holden, and it looks like Lucas Lodato, 7/10 back. Watching what happens. Side by side again between teammates. Miller going up high. Don't think that's the right decision here. He's just going to have to stay with it. DJ Stagner now, firmly beyond the halfway marker. And already we're coming toward our end. Next lap will be it. Caution's out for the first time tonight. And it looks like it's going to be Jacob Hamm. Here's your instant replay. Hamm brings out the yellow. The 44 sliding out of line and overcorrecting out of turn 2. Caution's out for the first time today, a 1-car incident, and that will bring everyone down to pit road. The 44 Hamm is going to limp his way in. I think that's going to end his night, but the rest of the field should be able to continue on. DJ Stagner, by virtue of just beating out his teammates, will be the man that leads them in. So pit road is going to decide strategy for the rest of the night. Inside of pit road, 28 laps to go and counting down. Watch that pit exit camera. We'll see what happens here. Everyone comes in. 27 laps remain. Expectation is 4 tires and fuel for every driver. Since it's very likely this is the only pit cycle, that's the way it's going to go. Off the line, though, Chad Winstead does something different. He'll take the race lead on a 2-tire call. Then you'll have Lodato, Stagner, Miller, Holden, and Scott Zellner. Chad Winstead breaks out and takes the race lead by force. 27 laps to go. Before we go green again, we'd like to thank our friends at iRacing.com for providing the action live on FTN. iRacing Motorsports Simulations is one of a kind, and if you'd like to start your sim racing career, no better place than here and now. Visit iRacing.com for more information. And before we go green, we'll be right back after a message from our friends at iRacing Motorsport Simulations.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill.
25 laps to go on the Wisconsin doubleheader. Chad Winstead makes his way through. And here we go again. Green flag's out. Winstead gets the jump. Chad gets away. It's going to be then Logano and Stagner with Sebastian Miller just behind. His two-tire calls the riskiest of the day so far on pit road, but it got Winstead the lead. Chad right now is going to have himself advantageous by about 0.3 of a second. And it looks like right now, further back, Stagner, Logano, Holden, Miller, all of which running in the top 5, just within. The gap is about 0.6 of a second. Take a look back now on Winstead and you'll see what's going on. Chad across the line maintains a 2/10-second advantage. You'll have Miller still in 5th here. It's going to be Swamp Motorsport from 2nd down to P5. Scott Zellner up on the high side, still trying to make things work. Further back, and now further up front. Roberto Ramirez has gone 16th to 8th, the biggest mover throughout the entirety of this field. Gaining 8 spots so far, he's one of the only drivers in the top 10 to have not qualified there. Coming to 22 laps remaining this time by, Chad Winstead has himself leading the way. And as always, with 22 remaining, we like to crank it up with our friends at Whiplash Simcams. We'll do that after the yellow flag. Caution's out, 2nd time tonight. Big pileup. 4 drivers stalled, and more coming out of it. Watch this. Now it starts with Scott Wheeler. Then you'll see Bozzy, Hampton, 1, 2, 3. Jason Harris involved and tagging after Kenny Brooks. It starts with Wheeler. Contact there with Matt Muir sends him sliding up the track. Hit by multiple after, and Kenny Brooks gets lucky as he slides up the circuit. Gets away from it. Minor contact is all. Shouldn't be race ending. He'll be able to continue on. We'll return to green now with less than 20 laps remaining. Chad Winstead's alternate strategy call looks to be a winning one. Taking 2 tires, kept him up there with a firm advantage. It did not look like anyone had anything to challenge on him. With that track position and less than 20 laps to go, there's a very real chance that the 60 crew makes do and hangs on for the victory. Logano 2nd, DJ Stagner 3rd, Scott Zellner P4. 20 laps remaining. We'll look back and you'll see Ryan Potter 21st to 17th, the only driver of the Swamp Brigade so far not to get in the fun up in front. 1 lap down is Jason Harris. As you see him right now, going to find himself off the track. 8 laps down is Jacob Hamm, a significant problem for the 44. The right front suspension, I don't think he'll get back on the track competitively all night long. Adam Bozzi back on the way. He's 20th right now. One of the final calls to strategy. Very unlikely anyone else comes to pit road again unless damage is issued, or if we have an overtime finish, we won't really have the time to need another pit cycle. It'll be 18 remaining, and since we got that break in between, we'll crank it up this time by. Whiplash SimCams provides the best broadcast cameras for any channel of any size, and that's no doubt. Anyone of any experience level can check out the Whiplash SimCams Discord channel and find free camera packs with no charges attached. Traditional packs cost $5 a piece for each car and track with no licensing fees. Visit Whiplash SimCams on their social media platforms to learn more about iRacing's best camera solution. With 18 laps remaining now, we're going to crank it up with the best angles on iRacing, brought to you by Pitstop TV and Whiplash SimCams. Let's crank it up from Wisconsin. "15 laps remaining, Lucas Lodato taking the lead from Chad Winstead, and as you can see now, the 7 is looking for a 2-time race victory night. And what a night it would be for Lodato, and if he hasn't cemented himself as the championship favorite already, he's ahead again, 3 wide now for Buchanan, Poteet, and Dylan Sim. Oh, contact. Big contact. Dylan and Sim right there getting away, but Dawson Buchanan finding himself battered. Very close between those two drivers. Luckily, nothing comes of it, of any big problem anyhow, and Lucas Lodato right now has the keys to victory lane. Let's see if he hangs on to him for long. Caution's out again. Scott Zellner goes around, and this has championship implications. Again, 3rd in the championship, and he'll slide to the back of the field. Caution is out. The 2 of Zellner, prior to the incident, was running in about the 5th position, and it looks like that all gets taken away in a blink of an eye. Side by side, the 48 and the number 2. Contact from Matt Muir as he drifts up the circuit. Nowhere to go. Splitting the middle, 13 laps remaining. Luckily, Zellner's not hit on the way around. So now Scott is in 19th. Lucas Lodato remains out as we get ready to go racing once again. With a break in the action before we go green for about 10 laps, to finish the job. We'll be taking a brief break live on FTN. You're watching our coverage of the Wisconsin Doubleheader and the Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series. Before we head back green, we'd like to take a moment to thank our partners and associates live on FTN and bring you some brief messages from them as well. You're going to be watching non-stop coverage on FTN Broadcasting, and we'll be right back before we go green. Brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. Let's go non-stop under yellow with 12 laps to go. Laps remaining. Lucas Lodato won from Road America, but who would have thought he'd go for 2 consecutive wins? And it looks like he's got a shot to do so. Be his 5th win on the season, and he would sweep the doubleheader. The iRacing pace car ducks in, and it's about time that we get back to work. The finishing touches on a night in Wisconsin come here and now with 10 laps to go. Lodato with a burst of speed. He'll break out for the final 10-lap stretch. Lucas now is up and ahead. It's going to be side by side between he and Sebastian Miller. It's for second. The Swamp is getting their spots back, but they might find another challenge in the Blacktop Racing boys. To the inside now goes Jimmy McKee. 3 wide, tries to go for it, can't do it. Roberto Ramirez now up in the top 10 himself. He's up to P5. Matt Muir to his outside. More to come, but Lucas Lodato is out in the head, and he is sailing free. Sebastian Miller looking low again. Jimmy McKee right there. Ramirez skating up high. Matt Muir only going higher. The 51 of Joshua Sim gets 3 wide and comes across the stripe. Going to be toe-to-toe-to-toe with the bottommost man being Sim. He's going to end up skating back into the middle of that lower groove. Can't get a spot on Ramirez. And Ramirez right now is looking to hold consistent and stay ahead of a rival in Scott Zellner. Zellner's gotten himself back up to 12th after spinning out of line. But I think right now, oh, contact again. Terry Brooks up in the wall. Big contact, no wreck though. He stays straight. We stay green. 7 laps to go for Lucas Lodato. They're jumbled 3 wide. Scott Wheeler again gets low, tries to get through Buchanan. Dawson gets loose. He'll stay straight. Doesn't quite work out there, but the quick lane Ford Mustang was about as close as he needed to be. 3 wide. Joshua Sim still trying to eke out the advantage. It looks like he's just barely there. Now, Dawson is going to be scored in 7th. Joshua Sim up to 6th. It'll be his career best finish if he ends up this way. But it looks like he's still facing firm competition. To the inside, Buchanan gets the drop on him. The number 70 of Matt Muir, 18th up to 8th. He's sitting with a 10-spot gain and a wonderful second half of this night for him. We saw what happened for he and teammate Matthew Rodriguez at Road America, so it looks like now getting the benefits of the oval in the more familiar style. Up high, Roberto Ramirez, 16th to 5th on this run. A firm and easy second place run. His consistency at road courses is undeniable, but the ovals have been up and down. Surprising for a driver who could very well be a top 3 points contender all season long, but he hasn't been necessarily outstanding when he needs to be. But he's made it up today, and it looks like he could come away with a pair of twin top 5s. Now less than 5 laps remaining. The only driver in Lodato's way would be Sebastian Miller. Miller looking for his first Highline Racing League victory. And he's just a few tenths back. Take a look on board. Three laps remaining. Just about 3.5 tenths separate Lodato and Seb Miller. It's going to be tight. Now it's going to be Scott Zellner on Roberto Ramirez. Oh, Ramirez hits the wall big. And that is a hit with major championship implications. Zellner from spinning 15 laps ago, and in fact even less than that, to getting back up inside the top 5. Talk about a clutch recovery. This Ford Mustang does not quit. 2 to go. And that's going to send Ramirez further back, although Ramirez got the edge on Scott through that first run. It looks like now he's going to falter when it matters most. Sebastian Miller has gotten there within a quarter of a second on Lucas Lodato, and for Lucas's 5th win of the season, he'll have to fight for one more Milwaukee Mile. White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Lucas Lodato is only now a back straightaway and a set of curves through to victory. He already won tonight and rode America, but for Sebastian Miller, he's his teammate, yes, but he'd love that win for himself. The 83 slices to the inside, turns Lucas Lodato. Oh, Sebastian Miller takes his teammate for a ride. And through the checkered flag, Seb Miller wins his first ever race in the Westlake Premier Series. He went for that move. And on the last lap, the swamp guys say, it's all for self. We just saw that. Can you believe it? Wow. Lodato, a quarter mile out from 2 victories, will have to settle for just 1. The Swamp wins its 7th race this season with their 3rd winning driver. Unbelievable. 13th in the Integrity Ignite race. And he took that expertise, carried it over, and found a way to win tonight's. Perhaps a little bit more of a shock win the way it came, but Sebastian Miller gets it done. Results go as follows for the number 83 winning tonight for his first time in the Highline Racing League. Sebastian Miller gets it done over Dawson Buchanan in 2nd, Scott Zellner 3rd, Jimmy McKee 4th, and Lucas Lodato, who concludes the top 5. Then from there you'll have Chad Winstead in 6th and Roberto Ramirez 7th, Matt Muir P8, Joshua Sim 9th, and Kenny Brooks to conclude the top 10. 11th place then from there is Adam Bozzi with 12th and Dylan Poteet, 13th, Scott Wheeler, and P14, Colton Gardner. 15th place, Corey Blevins, Matthew Rodriguez, 16th, P17, DJ Stagnant, with Terry Brooks, 19th, and 20th, then being Ryan Potter, 18th to Brooks Rather, and Tyler Hampton, officially 19th. Your final drivers being Jim Fott, Connor Holden, Jason Harris, and Jacob Halm. Now, I'll tell you what, that was a shocker. And the way it came through, those last few turns, I couldn't have predicted it. But for Sebastian Miller, it's been a long time coming to victory lane, and I think now he's the man we'd like to hear from, taking it to the checkered flag. Looking to see now if Miller is available. If not, move on to our second and third place finishers, who will speak to all of which: Miller, Buchanan, and Scott Zellner. Now the 83 is with us, and what might be an internally controversial finish for those teammates, Sebastian Miller broke through tonight, and he made sure there was no way else but victory lane. Miller, you find your way through to the Westlake victory lane. Took a long while, but it took that one lap to make the difference.
Yeah, it took a very long time. I apologize to Lucas for the contact there. I definitely meant to get underneath him and maybe rub, but the way that the net code a little bit there kind of bounced our cars very awkwardly. But we ran Lucas down. We ran the points leader down. The fastest guy, I think, in the series, to be honest, next to DJ at least, if they're 1A, 1B. Man, we've had so many where we were so close this season where it just slipped away, whether it was, bad luck, bad restart, whatever it may be, incidents, and it's so good to finally get one of those back.
And you mentioned not wasting the opportunity tonight. Now, first and foremost, back to the ovals for the second race of this doubleheader. How important was it for you to rebound, perhaps, from the last few weeks, of course, putting it together in a more familiar track to end the night?
Yeah, I'm very grateful that we got Milwaukee because it's a track that we raced not too long ago in Integrity. So just having the extra track time helped out a whole lot. Just knowing breaking points, what I want out of the car for sure. And boy, I am not good at road courses. I was so glad to get Road America over with and get on to Milwaukee. And we rolled out fast in practice, put it second on qualifying, and then just kept the track position all race. That was very important because it's very hard to pass here. And somehow, some way, we were in it at the end, and we didn't let our opportunity slip by.
And victory lane, you didn't avoid it tonight, that is for certain. With that said, up next on the calendar, now that you have this momentum with you, it's going to be a unique track. So we don't know exactly what that means. It could be any and all circuits, but oval racing comes in many different shapes and sizes. You think now you have what it takes to perhaps go at it again?
I mean, it all depends on the luck of the draw, right? I definitely love this format. The lack of practice, throughout the week, because you have no idea what the track is. I think it really does help level the playing field. Doesn't let one car just really pull away throughout the week, and sets up for some really great racing. So we'll see what we get, this time next week, and just go from there.
Well, with that said, Sebastian Miller, a first career victory in the Westlake Premier Series, and an exciting one at that, coming through in contact with Lucas Lodato to the very end. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave with us?
Yeah, just thank you to everyone at Swamp Motorsports for the fast car tonight. Huge shout out to Connor Holden. He had a great car and then unfortunately lost power and was unable to finish the race. But just thank you to everyone who puts on the show. Thank you for you having me in here for an interview tonight. It feels really great to get that first win.
Sebastian Miller gets the job done and pulls through on a thriller tonight in the Milwaukee Mile for victory lane. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
With Sebastian Miller on the way, the second place finisher for our oval feature, well, it's Dawson Buchanan. Ninth up to second, keeping those solid runs going. Buchanan stays under the radar and finishes when it matters most with a strong performance. P2 Dawson, tonight maybe not the most loud or noticeable night for your team, shall we say, but you come through with a clutch result when it matters.
Oh yeah, that was it didn't stand out too much out there, but yeah, I'm glad that Cease parted at the end there and was able to come home P2.
Now, second place today, a 55-lap oval sprint. Not a lot of time allotted. Was there any particular strategy you went about in order to succeed today?
Yeah, I want to first give a huge thank you to my spotter who did a lot of looking around the track and seeing what the fast guys were doing, and he helped me out a ton there. It was pretty much just I could have closed my eyes and he painted the perfect picture. So he got me fast there at the end. So that's all on him.
Tonight, second place, 1/10 of a second off. Now, I know the goal for you has been this season to try and find his way, of course, this way to victory lane, no matter what happens here. You might not have your teammates all around you at one time, but you've had those individual performances which have been so strong. I have to ask, this is the closest you've been so far this season. What's it going to take to learn from this and go from there?
I think it's just the reps with this car. I haven't owned this car since before this season, so it's been completely new, and just getting all these laps and practice every race it's helped out a lot. So hopefully it'll come here soon.
That said, Dawson Buchanan, best finish on the campaign before we head to a track that really could be anything. The unique track type, all of those ovals back on the table. So before we go back at it again, any final comments you'd like to leave?
I don't think so. I think that's about it.
That said, Dawson Buchanan, second place on the night here in the number 4, just a 10th off of victory. One final driver we'd like to speak to. We heard from him earlier, and it looks like tonight he'll go double trouble for the podiums, and Scott Zellner gets away best overall. Third place and a third place. Back in the top 3, and even though you found yourself at the root of the last caution, you recovered well and made your way up the field driving fast to P3.
Yeah, fresh tires was pretty key in that. Didn't really cut anybody a lot of brakes like I usually do coming up through the field, so I'm sure looked like I was driving like a pissed off teenager. But you know, sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. Ended up getting in the top 3 on both races. Can't complain about that. A little lucky that Lucas's teammate took him out for the win. That was not what I expected in the last turn, but you know, we take it.
And it came down to that final move just ahead of you, of course, but it also came through the way you pushed yourself on the final 15 laps. You mentioned maybe a little bit of a different driving style, but also getting perhaps a little lucky the car didn't have too much damage to it. Tires made the difference?
Yeah, for sure. I was definitely able to just run the top of the racetrack, and I don't think anybody else could. I just sent it 3 wide most turns, just hoping it would stick. And yeah, lucked out. No major damage. I think I just got turned in the rear from the 70. So even if I did get damage, it would have been cosmetic. It wasn't bad at all. Pretty happy that we came ahead of Lucas, in that second race in terms of the championship. But that's a real bummer to get taken out for a win.
Tonight, 2 podium finishes. Critical points when it matters most in this title race. And looks like now making some slow but sure gains as we head toward the final portion of the calendar. Scott Zellner, third place twice over today. Any final comments you'd like to leave us with?
Yeah, just thanks to all my teammates at Four Horsemen Racing, as usual. Scott, Caleb, and Austin have some computer difficulties for 2 of our teammates, so hopefully they're back next week. Thanks for my family for watching each and every week. Thank you to Westlake Royal Building Products for sponsoring this league and all that they do. And shout out to FTN for the coverage. Appreciate it.
Scott Zellner, double podiums and finishing it off well the Milwaukee Mile. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thanks, David.
With Scott Zellner on the move, what a race it was. This one in particular going quite the different routes. Lodato, we figured he was going to get away with the victory, but his teammates said otherwise. The checkered flag falls, and it falls on a thriller in Wisconsin. We don't often go to this state, but whenever we do, it's quite the great time. Nevertheless, checkered flag falls today, both from Road America and the Milwaukee Mile. But overall, that concludes 2 races of the Highline Racing League Westlake Royal Building Products Premier Series. Thank you once again for tuning in tonight, and of course, make sure to look out for our next broadcast. Same time, same place, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, live on FTN. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing, and if you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. Congratulations to Lucas Lodato and Sebastian Miller for winning both of our races tonight. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you had a fantastic night.